with whoever you have, because I'm still not able to with this link as well.
Okay, let's do one thing. Ajay why don't me and you get started? Jai I have a feeling this is going to cause a delay.
This is now, it is open and it's live streamed.
Okay.
Niranjan Hole is as the two attendees. I see only Niranjan Hole.
My father. Yeah, I don't see the other attendee.
Even I see only one.
Maybe I'll just check if my members are there, and if they are there, you can go ahead.
Yeah,
I
but
can,
we
I
need
can
you.
join between, but
I'll do one thing.
with the link also
Yeah.
not able to.
But this audio is coming fine, Rutvij. Whatever mechanism you're using right now, they can
I'm
speak
literally
to
just
that.
calling Rituji on WhatsApp.
Yeah, that's fine. It's coming fine.
Okay, so then Rituji, let's do one thing. Worst case scenario, basically you can just talk from WhatsApp. I'll give you a call when it's time to make your speech and you can talk from there.
Okay, this is being live streamed now, so you may want to mute yourself here.
Okay, yes, I think some people are beginning to join in. This last Jai Bansalji, if you could identify yourself.
Namaste everyone, this is Keshav.
Keshav ji from Australia, I presume.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, perfect ji. Namaste.
Namaste.
Yes. Once Dvija ji comes on, I think we can start. But yeah, it's really a pleasure to have you guys all here. I've been hearing a lot of great things about the work you've been doing from Ritu ji, so thank you so much for it.
Rutvij, all of this is now being streamed live. Okay.
Okay.
Just so that you know.
Yeah, I'm aware, but I mean, that doesn't change the fact that we're having a few issues. A short delay, everyone. Sorry.
Someone from Indonesia has joined.
Yes. Namaste, Dvija ji.
I'm moving one person who's from Indonesia.
Yeah.
To the panel. Okay. From
Dvija
the.
ji, if you could accept being a panelist. I'll go on correctly. Dvija ji, Pandita ji is having an issue with his technology. If you could help him unmute, that would be appreciated. Dvija ji, do you think you can help Pandita ji out?
Om Swastiastu.
Om Swastiastu Dvijaji, can you hear us?
Yes.
Yes, Panditaji is having a problem with his microphone. Can you help him out, please?
Sure.
Yes, I don't know whether he can hear me. If you could just contact him and get that started, because until we get his microphone working, we can't really start the program.
All right. So let me try. One moment, please.
Yes.
Pandita India ano? Ang program ko. Pandita India ano? Tapi kan Pandita India ano? Pandita India ano? Program ko. Yes.
Namaste, Rutriji.
Ampun coba. Ampun. Aduh, ini yang din mungkin ini loh. Gangguan di. Ini bilang harus megang. Bisa. Di sini di nomor. Untang.
Panditaji, can you hear us?
Om Swastiastu.
Om Swastiastu Panditaji. Pleasure to meet you. I just wanted to make sure your mic and camera is working, so then we can get started very quickly now.
Sampun in mute, sampun on mute. Nggih. Oke. Nggih. Ampun. Ampun bisa buka mungkin ampun. Ampun bisa, ampun nggih. Ampun.
Okay. Okay. So namaste, everybody. Welcome to the closing ceremony for the Eastern Hemisphere and for the Hindu Heritage Month 2022. We've had a very, very, good participation across the globe. Last year, the Hindu Heritage Month began with gusto in the United States and Canada. Namaste. My name is Richa Gautam, and I welcome everybody to the closing ceremony of the Eastern Hemisphere for the Hindu Heritage Month 2022. Last year, the Hindu Heritage Month began in the United States and Canada with great gusto and great participation. And as a result, we decided to take it across the globe. This year, we've had great participation across many different countries, and we hope to grow this stronger and stronger as a movement that will, go global. And at this time, we are beginning with an invocation and a chant, and I would like to invite Pandita Nabe Sri Bhagwan Yogananda from Bali to please begin the ceremony with an invocation. Welcome.
Mohon untuk mulai acara ini dengan ucapan doa dari Bali, Indonesia. Silakan Ida. Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Gananam Tva Ganapati Gumavamai. Kawing Kawenamu Pama Sravasamam. Ye Sarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspatana. Srinvano Tibi Siddhasadanam. Prano Devi Saraswati Vajaber Vajinewati Dinama Vitrayavatu Ganesaya Namaha Saraswatyaya Namaha Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Om Kadantaya Vidmahe Vakratundaya Dhimahe Anodante Prachodayat. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvighnam Kurume Deva Taho Kari Sarvada. Om Sri Maganapataye Namah. Om Mano Bhadra Katavo Yantu Viswaso Dabdasu Aparita Saobida Devano Yata Sadama Dride Asana Prayo Rakitaro Dive Dive. Om Abhayam Nakarchantari Samabhayam Java Pativi Hubeme Abhayam Pacharavayam Purata Tutara Dadara Dabhayam No Atum. Om Aditya Soparan Jyotiraksa Tejanamo Sute Tweto Pangkajo Madhyas Vaskarina Masuak Pranamya Bhaskar Devam Sarvo Klesho Imosanam Pranamya Aditya Sivaya Muki Muki Varnam Rang Rinsak Paramosi Radityo Om Jauh Sandira Pertiwi Sadera Sadero Sadaya Santi Vanaspataya Santi Sudeva Santi Brahma Santi Sarvam Santi Santi Reva Santi Tamo Santi Redi Om Santi Santi Santi. Sukshmo, thank you.
Dhanyavad. Dhanyavad. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. So calming and beautifully sung. Thank you, Madhudvijaji, as well as Pandita Yogananji. Now I call upon Jay Bansalji to do the introductions. Dr. Jay Bansalji is a scientist, author, and community leader with a keen interest in Indian history and in exploring the contributions of the Hindu civilization in the world. He is currently the global coordinator for the Hindu Heritage Month program and also serves as the vice president of the education department for the World Hindu Council of America, as well as he's the member of its executive board and the governing council. Dr. Jay Bansal, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Richaji. Namaste, everyone. And a warm welcome to everyone who has joined us on the screen here, as well as everyone who is participating through various technology platforms, whether it's Zoom, YouTube, or Facebook. It's I apologize for my voice. Seems to be taking a dive, but I hope you can hear me still. So it's a real honor for me to be talking to you as we get ready to say fond farewell to another year of grand celebration of our shared heritage. So the year 2021 will go down in Hindu diaspora's history as the beginning of this movement, Hindu Heritage Month. An idea that came out of a very simple thought process. The simple thought process was Hindu community is billions strong around the world. We have a rich cultural heritage and spiritual heritage. We proudly celebrate it, individually and among our friends and family. And October is the month when a lot of our very important festivals come together. So why shouldn't we, decide to call, October as the epicenter of our cultural festivals, and declare October as Hindu Heritage Month and celebrate it together as a global family. That was the simple idea. Starting from that simple thought process, Hindu Heritage Month has gone on to become a trend-setting international movement in just 2 years, and not even 2 years. I mean, we started in 2021, and here we are, a year and a few months away. Last year alone, we had more than 100 organizations join us as partners, and between them, they held close to 100 events. Not only that, more than half the states in my country, United States, and more than 50 cities rose in unison to make official proclamations recognizing the multitudes of contribution that Hindu civilization has given to the world. So that was a very proud movement for all of us. But that is history. That was last year. What about this year? It is really gratifying to note that the global Hindu community has taken this initiative to entirely new level this year. This year we have close to 180 organizations from 15 different countries, all the way, in the south from New Zealand and to the north, Norway in the north, taking part in Hindu Heritage Month celebrations. Between them, they're holding close to 200 events, and political recognitions from states and cities are pouring in every day. I could talk about a number of things that are, really special this year, but let me spotlight one and one thing only. And that is what we see on the screen. You, the representatives of, the leaders of Hindu youth, coming from many different countries, coming together and becoming a critical part of this movement. That is really very gratifying for us. Let me formally state for anyone in the audience. This program and tomorrow's, the second session of this program for the Western countries has all been organized by a collaboration of our next generation from many, many different countries. This is, I think unprecedented, at least in my experience. Now, another thing that we are proud of is that we actually organized a seminal series of interviews in October to showcase the way in which our next generation is enlivening their heritage, not only in their private lives, but also in their professional spaces. The last webinar of that series will be happening tomorrow. Now, it may sound like a cliche, but the word, such as it is your inheritance. Whatever my generation has done is obviously going to recede in the background, go into the past, and it is you who slowly will take charge of it. Now, taking charge of it, also comes with responsibilities to carry on its traditions or change them for the better. And in fact, we expect that you will change it for the better as you go forward. Now, very, very briefly, why are we celebrating Hindu Heritage Month, other than the obvious reason that we have shared heritage and we should do it? See, we represent the fastest growing immigrant community in the world. Even though we're well integrated into the professional spaces, fact of the matter is our host societies do not know all that well about Hinduism and who we are and what we represent. And I think it is a great opportunity for us to showcase our culture,
Namaste. Did we lose Devansanji?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Richa ji, please continue.
Yes. So, namaste everyone, and sorry for that interruption. I just want to say that now while this is an Eastern Hemisphere ceremony, we also want to showcase some of the work that the Western Hemisphere, is doing. And I invite upon the US, Canada, and UK teams to showcase their videos so that we can look at some of their achievements over this month.
Yes, Richa ji, I think Jai ji has had a technical difficulty. If you give 2 seconds, apologies everyone for the technical issues. I will be sharing that video right now. Yes, 1 second. Can you all see the screen? Yes.
Yes, the screen is visible. Yes.
Audio?
Namaste, everyone. My name is Shreya Mahasenan from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and I'm pleased to be joining in the Hindu Heritage Month closing ceremonies. I'd like to give my heartfelt congratulations to all the groups from the many different countries who've worked together to make this a joyous and successful month for celebrating Hindu heritage and values. I'm originally from the United States, but I'm a student at McGill University in Canada, and I've lived in Canada for just under 4 years now. In the last 2 years especially, I've been able to work with many different groups of Canadian Hindus, not only to create a collaborative community of Hindus across Canada, but also to educate the wider public about Hinduism and all that it has to offer. Last year, I was part of a group of students that formed the McGill Dharma Society, McGill University's first and only campus organization for Hindu students, as well as students of other Dharmic faiths. Earlier this year, we managed to make the Dharma Society an official full-status club here at McGill, and we've managed to find many different and creative ways in which to celebrate Hinduism and to showcase it to the wider community here in Montreal. We've taken students on different trips to temples around the area. We've managed to create many intimate and heartfelt celebrations of our most beloved festivals that really aim to get at the spiritual essence of those festivals, and we've even held concerts to showcase the song, dance, and art that Hinduism has given us. It's been a very successful time for us here at the McGill Dharma Society. And earlier this year, after very intimate and personal celebrations of Navratri, we wanted to celebrate the intersection of Diwali and Hindu Heritage Month in a really special way. We talked a lot with other Hindu students here at McGill to ensure that we could really give students a sense of home. Many students come to McGill from abroad and want to feel that they can celebrate Diwali and their other Hindu traditions just as they do back home. We try to make as safe and welcoming of a community space as possible and aim to have an event to celebrate Diwali that really brought people together and brought back the spiritual essence of Diwali that underlies the vibrant celebrations that we all know and love. It was a very successful event, and it's been very rewarding bringing the Hindu community together here in Montreal and in McGill. In addition to working with the local community and even with other faith groups to educate the public about Hinduism, we also managed to work with other groups of Canadian Hindus. We've been very blessed to work with organizations such as the Chinmaya Mission in Toronto, as well as other Hindu student associations from Ontario, to create some province-to-province communication about what it means to be Hindu, why it means so much to us to be Hindu, and how we can continue to celebrate our traditions and values that we've inherited. It's been a very special and rewarding time for me. I'm very excited for the events and progress that these other organizations have made. And here at the Dharma Society, I look forward to the journey of continuing to form a space for Hindus to be proud of our traditions and to practice them in full swing. I want to offer, again, my very heartfelt congratulations to all the groups who've made this Hindu Heritage Month a success, and the very best to all those celebrating. It's been a very successful and fulfilling month for me, and I've been very blessed to be a part of it. Namaste.
Namaste. My name is Samyat, and I currently serve as the National Sampark Lead for NHSF UK. Sampark refers to public relations, and through that we have been a great and proud part of the Hindu Heritage Month celebrations across the world. Now, you'll ask, how have your student brothers and sisters across the pond here in the United Kingdom, how have we been celebrating it? Well, we've had two huge parts. Firstly, we've continued on with our grand scale Navratri celebrations. As part of this, we have carried on with our great Navratri events, which happen in each of the 4 geographical zones of the country, which bring together all of the student Hindu societies, all of the NHSF UK chapters. Our North Zone saw over 500 students. Our South Zone, again, about 300 to 400 students. Our Central Zone, 1,500. London Zone, another 1,000. On top of this, many of our chapters have celebrated their own Navratris at their own chapters in big scales. Altogether, over 4,500 students celebrating the divine Shakti, celebrating that great feminine energy that runs through us all, that great strength. That has been a great part. Alongside this, we've been doing great explorations of 9 female warriors from Hindu history as part of our 9 nights of Navratri. Alongside this Hindu Heritage Month has also seen us be part of the Diwali in London celebrations. These have come back after 3 years from the pandemic, and they've been celebrated with great pomp right in Trafalgar Square, the heart of London, organised by the Mayor of London. And NHSF UK was a big part of these celebrations, right in the middle of all these stalls, presenting our exhibition. And this exhibition, The Hindu Journey of Britain, the story of our community here in these British Isles. It was our great privilege to showcase this to all of the members of the public that came through. This has been our way as British Hindu youth celebrating this Hindu Heritage Month.
Hello and namaste. My name is Ritwij Holay, and I'm from the United States of America. Over the past month, many Hindu organizations have come together to recognize and celebrate the contributions of Hindus to this country. Aside from the various festive occasions that have happened, the Hindu American Foundation and Coalition of Hindus of North America have been leaders in getting proclamations passed all over the country to recognize Hindu Heritage Month. In addition, groups like the Hindu University of America have been educating Americans on the Hindu experience, hosting webinars on the experiences of the Hindu youth diaspora for all Americans to see. The Hindu Policy, Action and Research Collective, alongside many other groups, has even gotten a bill introduced in the US House of Representatives to recognize the Bangladeshi genocide that occurred in 1971. This month was incredibly successful, and from all of us in the United States, happy Hindu Heritage Month, and we hope to celebrate many more just like it. Thank you, and dhanyawad.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Rutvish, for playing that video. What a vibrant account of some of the activities that took place across these countries. Now we come back to our Eastern Hemisphere team here from Bali, Australia, and India. And we are going to now talk about Hindu values in the Western world. I have some panelists from Australia who will join us to talk about some of these important topics and to give us their viewpoint on how they see the whole idea of Hindu values and how to perpetrate and carry them on in the Western world. The floor is yours, Australia. Please go on.
Yes, Suchaji, I'll take it from here for a second. So, yeah, namaste everyone. My name's Rutrij. Aside from coordinating in the United States, I've also been given the daitwa responsibility of coordinating internationally the youth from Hindu Heritage Month. And one of the beautiful things, I think Jaiji was mentioning that we had 11 countries across all 5 continents. In many of these countries, Australia included, it was really the youth taking the lead. And so I have 5 of these youth with us today. Aditya Pandey ji, Keshav Agrawal ji, Saloni Shah ji, Avanika Endikar ji, Shankaranand ji, and Ritu Diulani ji. What's very interesting about them is, you're all students, yes? Yeah, so, we have all of these students, and, while they're trying to grow up and find themselves, they're having to do it in a very interesting situation. They've been raised with these Hindu values while they're in a country that predominantly has Western, European based values. And so we wanted to bring them here to just talk about, how they managed to find themselves in that difference. So, Aditya ji, why don't you start, introduce yourself and, just tell us about your experience with being Hindu in Australia.
Namaste, my name is Aditya Rudra Pandey. I'm from Adelaide in South Australia. And something that I realized when I first came here was obviously the language barrier. That was a big problem because I came here when I was 4. Even though I still knew Hindi, I still had to get used to English, and my teachers helped me. But overall, it was a good experience. I haven't experienced any discrimination, for example. So it's a it's a good country, I guess. But culturally, like my parents and my family, we always stay connected to the culture. We go to India every year almost, except for recently because of COVID. So yeah, that's it.
Yes, dhanyawad Aditya ji. And what about you, Saloni ji? What were your experiences like?
Hi, namaste everyone. My name is Saloni. So because we are moving from a very cultural, traditional land of India, and it's known for our values all over the world, I think moving to a completely Western country was a very different experience for me, especially when I'm talking about the cultural barriers and the language barriers that we faced. But then there were temples that we can visit, and like Hindu Youth Australia also provided us with some of the good events like Diwali, Navratri, where we can just come along our community and start to mix as Indians. So I think that what made us culturally divided is such organizations and such heritage months where we can celebrate our traditions and our culture as a whole. So yes, it was difficult, but we managed as a united Indians and migrants in Australia to just keep our tradition and culture alive.
Yes, dhanyawad Saloni ji. What about you, Avani ji?
Namaste, I'm Avni. I'm an engineering student in Adelaide currently. So I came here about 9 years ago, and of course the main cultural barrier was a number of things like just social life, food habits, your talking language. We used to talk Hindi in Mumbai or even Marathi at home and outside with friends. So that was a that was a big difference after coming here, speaking English 24/7 with your friends and teachers. But I think the biggest learning as a Hindu in Australia is you need to be able to convey your cultures and traditions and why you do certain things. So that allowed me to develop an even deeper understanding about my own dharma after I moved here than in India, because we do so many things out of habit or just because you're used to when you're in Bharat. But then when you come here, you need to explain things to certain people because they're so curious about your culture. So I think that allowed me to connect with Hinduism even more. So it's been a fantastic experience so far, and I hope that continues.
Dhanyawad ji. Keshav ji, your thoughts?
Namaste, everyone. My name is Keshav Agrawal, and I think most of the points have already been covered by my fellow panelists, but I would just like to touch upon those. So my experience here was similar. There was a major culture shock after coming to this country, and I spent most of my time in Sydney. I'm very new to Adelaide, actually. But just like Avni said, even the locals are very curious about our culture, about our rich tradition, about our rich history, which is very well received by them if you have the patience to explain. And I also visited a lot of temples, like ISKCON in Sydney was one of my favorite spots to visit, especially on my birthday. So it was a very calming experience. And yeah, I visited a lot of events, like there was a lot of gatherings held on Diwali, Holi, and similar occasions. So that helped me to settle in nicely and not be homesick, basically, and still keep my Hindu values in me. So
That's a good point, And then what about Shankar ji? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, namaste. My name is Shankar Anand. Yeah, so like others, coming to Australia also was a like cultural shock for me. And at first, to be honest, I had a hard time keeping up with following the culture at the start due to the living alone and by myself, and also with school and work. But joining the association actually helped me keep my dharmas and culture on track, and actually conversing with people, and it's piqued my interest again. And when I came to Adelaide recently, when I joined all this group with the Hindu Youth Association, like made interested me even more to go around and introduce myself, and also sharing my experiences with other people. That's like taught me more about my culture recently. So I believe like with this, I continue to grow the journey itself.
That's fair point. I mean, you guys all made very good introductions. Now we'll move into more of a conversational phase of this discussion. So one of the things I noticed was a lot of you seem to have directly come from India. Even those of you who picked up, that Aussie accent also mentioned that you guys came when you were, relatively young. But you guys all did come from India, so you're all very much first generation. And so a lot of whether the Hindu community in Australia retains its cultures and traditions is in your hands. So with that, I'll just throw it out to all of you. Feel free to add in to each other's conversations. Do you think it's important to preserve your culture as Hindu? And if so, how will you maintain the balance between being Hindu and being Australian? Yeah, Saloni, feel free to take it if you wish.
I think, yes, we should preserve our Indian values because they are brilliant. I mean, like especially on our birthdays, we go visit temples and we take blessings from our elders. And I think that's the best thing that help us to grow even further in Australia. And what I believe is that if your parents are there to give you blessings and the elders are there to guide you from their experiences, we can definitely prosper and build a good reputation in the Western countries like Australia. So yes, we need to maintain a balance between our cultural traditions, and of course, we need to maintain a good professional life in Australia, which will help us to progress financially as well.
Yeah, go ahead, Shankarji, if you have something to add.
Yeah, like Saloniji said, I think the foundation itself to keeping our culture is just mainly to keep contact with our parents itself is one of the main things I believe, because they are the one for instill those culture and dharmas like earlier said since birth. So I believe the first step is to by engaging with them, and the second step is you taking the initiative and make that step to grow further, and sharing that experience with others, so you learn and you actually teach others also at the same time. So I think it's more of a it's a sharing journey rather than keeping it to yourself.
That's a fair point. Does anyone have anything to add on?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, Rutwiji, it's very important to understand our own culture, but it's very important to try to be incoherent with the Australian culture as well. And I think the main problem with us Hindus in different countries are we are afraid of being open about our own culture. And that's what I think we need to work on. We need to be more open, be more vocal, and express our history and our culture more vividly. And I think if we try, we can add to our community in a very significant way. So
Yeah. Yeah, Saloniji, you look like you have something to say, or anyone else really?
No, I think Keshav and Shankar made a very good point that like we should share as well among our fellow Australian students or in the workplace of how we are maintaining our culture, and that might help us to prosper well as Indians together.
So that's definitely a valid point. I think one of the things that I've noticed here, at least, I'm speaking from my experience, I'd love to see how it translates to yours, is that you see a few types of responses that come up. One is the ideal, right? Kind of, genuine response of, oh, I want to understand this, I want to learn a bit more. Sometimes it leads to a lot of people, kind of even becoming ingrained in our society and our culture. But then you see two other responses. One is, kind of, be more aggressive, just go back to your own country, if you want to be Australian or if you want to be American, you ought to be Christian and, XYZ. And another response you also see, is, in my opinion, equally harmful. You see people, come, approach it, and then, take our culture, for example, yoga, right? And then commercialize it and, take our traditions and, just become like one of those, white teachers with the yoga pants and everything to take it. So how would you respond to, each of these situations?
I think for the people who are completely against immigrants and migrants, you can't really respond to anything. You just have to ignore those people, and because they already have their mind set, and they are very, I think, so backward thinking it's not our responsibility to change that kind of backward and violent thinking. But for people who are even mildly interested and in general who are actually interested and understanding of our culture, and not just our culture, of all the different cultures that are present in these countries, so we can focus on just those people, and that would be a good way to go in my opinion.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. Does anyone else have anything to add on?
Yes,
I think
yeah, go on.
go ahead. Okay.
Avni, you go on. I'll be after you.
So I think the main point that comes up with so with the people who are who take up yoga and also like other activities like pranayam, and they call it breathing exercise, and make it like whitewash certain things. I think the main thing would be to be confident in what's yours and know where it came from, and show like you should know where it's rooted, and you should be able to explain it to them why it's yours, why it has Indian roots. And because we have such a large historic basis for whatever we practice, I think it's always helpful to show a historic proof, or just being confident in what's yours. I think that solves that problem a lot, and avoids other people whitewashing certain things. Even calling it yoga instead of yoga solves a number of problems, because you're correcting what they're saying wrong. Instead of you joining in with them and calling it yoga, just aggravates the problem and makes it theirs instead of yours. So I think that's what I've learned so far.
Yeah, Saloniji, I know you had something to say too.
Yes, I'll just add on one thing, that if someone is being aggressive, I think we being Indians, we were always taught that like, don't become what you can't see, or what you can't face. So if someone is becoming aggressive and against our culture, I think it's better to just smile and move on, and just uh, try to show them that we in our culture won't insult any other culture or any other religion, but we will respect everyone. But for us, the foremost is our culture and our traditions. And like, we can just spread being a youth among everyone by all the activities that we are being doing as Hindus, like yoga or other Hindi classes, which we are doing currently, or our bhajans or our Sanskrit sloks, which actually uh, embrace our minds, and we need to continue doing what we are doing rather than focusing on the aggressive people.
I think you bring up an interesting point. One thing that you and Avaniji both noted, which I found interesting, was you mentioned the Hindi class, and Avaniji talked about calling it yoga, not yoga. But for example, right? First, for the languages, obviously, different people speak different languages. Like myself and Avaniji, we both come from Maharashtra, I believe, so we speak Marathi. I think Rituji probably from like Gujarat, in that area, so she'll speak her own languages. We all speak our different mother tongues. And then for yoga and yoga, in the south they actually do call it yoga. So right over there, that's correct. But in the north they call it yoga. So it basically brings up the question of how much do we keep our regional identities, right? Like, for example, of me as a Marathi, or if I think Saloniji, you as a Gujarati, compared to having a common Hindu-Australian identity, how do we maintain a balance between the two?
I think first and foremost, we are Indians, and I think because we all migrated from India, like despite from different states, we should first just focus on being Indian. And I think all I do understand that all our languages and few traditions are different, but all our cultures and some of our basic traditions are common. So we must be united as Indians rather than coming from different states, and we should just continue like doing that.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Anyone else have anything to add on?
What you mentioned, my mom used to say a nice thing about Sanatan Dharma, that it's like many streams coming together and forming an ocean, because we have so many different practices, different languages in Hinduism, that all still connects as one. And I think we need to identify as one. We need to identify certain points that connect all of us together, because especially today, in today's times, it's so very important to unite as a Hindu rather than a Maharashtrian or a Gujarati or a Sindhi. But if we stick to that one point, that is our Sanatan Dharma, I think that will keep us all together.
I think so too. I think that's a very valid point, that basically, again, you're like the original, as we say in America, right? Those original pilgrims, right? That are coming to the land first. So for you to say united, if you guys succeed, then you'll have a Hindu tradition just as long as India's or Indonesia's or any of these other countries. But yeah, we actually have a question from the audience. If you guys are okay with that, before we move on to closing statements. So the question is, why do we say we are Indians, not Hindus? The people from Bali are Hindus, and they are not Indians, never have been. There are African Hindus who have never been Indians either. Isn't Hindu a bigger global identity? If anyone wants to take that.
I think
Yes, actually, I think. Sorry, Saloni, go ahead. Okay, so I think the point which Saloni and Avni made was not to identify as Indians, but instead of identifying Hindus from different states, we should identify ourselves from a whole nation. I think that was what they were trying to convey. But yes, Ajay ji, you are absolutely right. It's not a question of we are Indians, we are Hindu. So, but it was not conveyed in that way.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And then Saloni ji, you also had something to add on?
Yeah, I think I agree with Keshav. It was just that we are all Hindus coming from a different state in India, and so we were just trying to put a point that like we come from a common land of tradition, and Hindu is definitely a very bigger like global identity, and we are proud to be a Hindu. So yeah.
Okay, then, and then Aditya, I saw you were raising your hand.
So I think that Hinduism obviously started in Sanatana Dharma obviously started in India, but over time its popularity spread, which is caused there to be like Hindus of all cultures and all in all countries, which is a very good thing. I think that it spreads everywhere.
That's a fair point. So yeah, I think we brought up some very good points that, you know, if we identify as Hindu, if we take that broader identity, show people the identity, and kind of lead by example when we're faced with the bigotry and when we're faced with the attacks, I think that's really going to help Hindus be successful not only in Australia but around the world. And so with that, if all of you would give maybe a small closing statement on your thoughts and views on this, that would be appreciated. Shankarji, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, we have such a rich culture, you know, so we can't blend in when you are born to stand out. It's a famous quote I like to use. So we have such a rich culture, including the amount of languages we can speak, and you know, and every one of us has, even though it's different languages, but we have the culture that actually bond us together itself. So I feel Hindu is such a big term that actually that brings us from all around the world and actually make us as one, I believe.
Definitely. Avani?
I definitely agree with what Shankaranandji said. Like we just discussed, we all come from different countries, different states, but what grounds us and what is Sanatana Dharma. And while we stay abroad in different countries, surrounded by different identities and religions, we should remember that we need to be proud of who our mother is. We should respect everyone else, but be proud of who you are and be confident in who you are. And that's what will keep you rooted in the culture, in your dharma. Thank you.
Definitely. Saloni ji?
I agree with Shankarji and Avniji. I think, like being a Hindu, we should always be grounded and rooted by our rich heritage and tradition, and we should always be proud of what our culture is, and we should also try to flourish it and help other fellow Hindus to keep following the traditions. And I think Sanatan Dham will be the best platform and the word to use when we are coming together as a Hindu in different Western countries.
Definitely. Keshavji?
Yeah, I think like Saloni, Shankar, and Avni said, we should, even though we are in a different country, it's important to stay grounded and to stay true to our culture. And I think we can incorporate some daily practices to actually make that happen, like prayer, meditation, and just gratitude towards our elders. And yeah, I think that's a good way to incorporate it in our daily lives. And yeah, I think the Hindu community is growing day by day, and even with major political figures throughout the world acknowledging it is a good sign of that. So hope we even grow bigger.
Definitely, Ji. And then Aditya ji, you want to close us out?
Namaste. So I think that Hinduism is very important because it gives everyone a feeling of righteousness and it gives everyone the ability to do the right thing. It keeps you disciplined. Also, it keeps everyone united because I don't think there's anyone in this meeting that doesn't celebrate Diwali. So it doesn't matter where you're from. Just Hindus from everywhere are the same people. So
yeah, I do want to point out, Richard, before I hand you back the floor, that the Australians, from what I've understood, the Australian youth, it seems that this organization was recently founded. They're all just starting the advocacy, and a lot of them again are first generation, and yet they've done such a phenomenal job. They've emerged as such leaders, not only within their country and the global Hindu state, that I really just I want to give my pranams to all of you. So with that, Richard, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you so much. I think this is time for me to thank everybody for such a wonderful participation. Hindu values in the Western world, I think they do begin with an understanding of our Hindu identity, rising above our states or our other, identities as a country. We are more than a nation. We are more than we're a continuous civilization. We are also the oldest religion of the world. Sanatan Dharma, the eternal and timeless faith that has always perpetrated in this world for time immemorial. And I guess that, and also the point that everyone made was very interesting, that, we are all as immigrants struggling sometimes to assimilate, and also at the same time to uphold our value systems that our dharma brings, or our roots bring to us. But also I think it is time for us to take some of these values, this heritage, to the Western world, because some of the elements like the strong value of ecology and the nature, respect for nature, environment, and also the Devi worship, the divine feminine, are some values that do not exist across the Western world and much of the world around us. So these are some values, I think, as our heritage continues and we become more and more aware and more able to share it. I think this is one of the onus that we have as immigrants into new nations. I think with that, I want to thank everybody for the participation, and maybe I will do a closing Shanti mantra. Jay Bansalji, would you like to say
Richa,
something before we end?
before we end, we need to invite Dvijaji and Rituji to talk about Hindu Heritage Month in their respective countries and what's next.
Om Swastiastu. Namaste.
Namaste, Dvijaji. Please tell us about what you did in for Hindu Heritage.
Before I start with my thoughts, let me give this opportunity to His Holiness Pandita Nabe Sri Begawan Yogananda. Ida Begawan, mohon dengan hormat Ida untuk memberikan semacam sambutan bagaimana umat Hindu di Bali melaksanakan ritualnya kaitannya dengan menjaga keharmonisan alam semesta beserta isinya. Mohon dengan hormat Ida. I will translate what Ida Begawan said later on.
Namaste. Ano badra katawayan tu iswaso dabda suwa parita saudbidah dewana yata sadamit bide sana prayurak kitaro di widi. Semoga pikiran-pikiran yang baik, gagasan-gagasan yang mulia datang dari semua arah pada kita sekalian. Saya Sri Begawan merasa berbahagia dan bangga bisa bertemu dengan para tokoh muda yang cukup smart, brilian, bisa berinteraksi dengan saudara-saudaraku dari luar.
Ida Begawan, boleh saya terjemahkan dulu sedikit? Yeah. Baik. Ida Begawan, Sri Begawan Yogananda just says that he is very delighted, is very happy to see and to meet with young Hindu leaders around the world, from Australia, from India, from Australia, and from the United States. It's very happy, Ida Begawan, to meet with all of you. Yes, silakan Ida Begawan.
Walaupun saya pemahaman bahasa Inggris saya hanya pasif, tetapi saya dapat menangkap apa yang saudara-saudaraku, adik-adikku sampaikan tadi di dalam pertemuan ini. Intinya adalah berbagi dan menyampaikan pengalaman, keagamaan, ritual, tradisi-tradisi di wilayah masing-masing.
Baik, terima kasih Ida Begawan. Walaupun pengetahuan, even though Begawan's knowledge about English is very little, he says that he can took a small part of what brothers and sisters says earlier regarding the experience on respective experience, respective dharma that brothers and sisters are doing in each countries. Silakan Ida Begawan.
Langsung saja ya, ketika umat Hindu dunia merayakan momentum perayaan itu setahun sekali di dalam 12 bulan, tetapi kami di Bali memiliki momentum merayakan momentum itu di dalam kurun waktu 30 minggu alias 6 bulan. Jadi ketika di Hindu dunia merayakan suatu momentum setahun sekali, kami merayakan 6 bulan sekali. Contohnya saja, Hari Raya memuliakan Istadewata Tuhan sebagai penganugerah ilmu pengetahuan. Itu di luar Bali dilakukan setahun sekali. Tetapi kami di Bali merayakan Hari Saraswati 6 bulan sekali. Demikian pula hari-hari yang lain. Maka momen perayaan seperti itu kami menekankan di sini pada Sri Hita Karana, yaitu interaksi manusia dengan Tuhan, dengan sesama, dan dengan lingkungan. Sri Hita Karana itulah yang kami implementasikan, kami rayakan, kami kami aplikasikan di dalam kehidupan sehari-hari di dalam kurun waktu 6 bulan sekali. Ketika teman-teman
Ida Begawan yang coba translate dulu. Well, when the Hindu community around the world celebrate the Hindu holiday, for example, once a year, but here in Bali, this is our daily basis. But for the special day, we celebrate every 6 months. For example, Saraswati Day. Saraswati holiday is celebrated to worship the goddess Saraswati as the god of knowledge. And this kind of celebration, in order to enhance and also to improve and keep the daily Balinese life based on the philosophy of Trihita Karana. We have to interact and make a harmony relationship toward the gods, harmony relationship toward the human being, and harmony relationship toward the environment. Silakan Ida Begawan.
Ketika dunia merayakan.
Thank you so much, Panditaji.
Ida Begawan, mohon izin, mungkin waktunya terbatas nih.
Singkatlah, sedikit lagi. Ketika dunia merayakan Valentine Day, kita juga punya hari Tumpak Rulut, yaitu merayakan hari kasih sayang. 6 bulan sekali juga digalakan. Ketika umat lain melakukan momentum menghargai lingkungan hidup, kita juga di Bali mengenal adanya tumpak warigel, yaitu berinteraksi dengan tumbuh-tumbuhan. Kemudian ketika di umat lain juga mulai menghargai makhluk-makhluk lain, kita juga di Bali mengenal namanya tumpak kandang. Jadi itu adalah karena waktu terburu-buru. Jadi apa yang dilakukan oleh dunia luar, kita juga sudah melakukan di Bali. Jadi, makasih.
Just a brief translation. What Begawan says that in Bali, the tradition when we respect to the nature, we are celebrating the holy day named Tumpak Krulut and Tumpak Kandang. We respect the nature, we respect the human being by a special day that always taken in Saturday, every special day in Saturday in 6 months. Yes, thank you, Richaji. Please, the time is yours.
Thank you so much. I think those are wonderful comments and beautifully said. That is the true nature of Dharma. I think we will now conclude given the time. At this time, we're top of the hour.
Could we
And
have
I will,
2 minutes from Ritu Diulani ji?
we still have some comments to take from Rituji.
Yeah, just from Ritu ji, 2 minutes and then.
Rituji, yes, please share your thoughts.
Namaste. Thank you, Rutvik ji, Richa ji, and Jay ji today to giving us such an opportunity to be a part of closing ceremony for Hindu Heritage Month. We are really highly privileged to attend this. And I would like to mention that this year we celebrated Diwali as a part of Hindu Heritage Month. And we celebrated this event with more than 70 people and had activities like the painting, Rangoli, and concluded with Aarti and food. And we are looking forward to Hindu Heritage Month next year. And I'll make sure that we will be engaging more activities. And yes, thank you again to make us a part of it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for such wonderful participation. And I will now conclude with the Shanti Mantra. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Punaktu Saha Viryam Karvavahe Tejasvinavati Tamastu Ma Vitvashavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaste. And with that, we come to the conclusion of this ceremony.
Namaste. Thank you. Makasih, Pak.